Hello, Tirthalion here, your YouTube psychic. In today's video, we're going to do a Google autocomplete interview. Basically, I'm going to ask Google a couple questions, and I'm going to answer them in the best way that I know how. And our first question is, what do tarot? So our first question upon that is, what do tarot cards mean? Well, earlier in my channel, I have done a whole series on what tarot cards mean, so feel free to watch that. I'll link it in the description box below. And our second question is, what do tarot cards do? Well, really, they don't do anything. They are just a divination tool that psychics, tarot readers use to tell the future, the past, the present, and to help give some guidance when someone wants it. Our next question is, what do tarot cards look like? Well, they look different in different decks. Some of them are really pretty, some of them are really plain. Some people even use regular playing cards as divination tools. It just all depends on the reader themselves and what they want to do. Now, I will add some pictures in just a moment for you to see. Now, for example, this is the Strength card in the Spiral Tarot deck, and this is the Strength card from the Witches Tarot deck, and the next one is the card. This is the Strength card from the Ghost Tarot deck. Our next question is, what do tarot cards tell you? Well, that all depends on where the card lands, what cards are around it, the feelings that the reader gets when they flip the card over. It's just hard to say, but like the Strength card tells you that someone is really strong, they've been through something, they've grown stronger. They are about to go through something and require strength. It just all depends on the layout of the cards. Our next question is, what do tarot cards represent? Well, they represent whatever they represent. Take, for instance, the Strength card. If you pull the Strength card, that means, strength. Something is coming up. Something needs to be done. You need strength for certain situations. And again, the meaning of the card depends on the feelings, the thoughts, and the cards that are around the card that pops up. The next question is, what do the tarot cards read? Well, they'll read whatever you want them to read. If you're doing a Celtic cross, they're going to read the current situation, what's blocking the current, the past influences, future influences, how they see themselves and how others see them, their hopes and fears, and of course the overall. It all just depends on the pattern that you use, the cards that come out in the pattern that they're in. And our next question is, what do the tarot cards do in the Final Fantasy VII Remake? Girl, I have no idea. That's not my avenue, and I don't care. Our next question is, what do tarot card readers do? Well, basically, tarot card readers read the cards. They get feelings, thoughts, trying to think of whatever else you can think of, but we take the cards and interpret them in the way that the card is meant to be interpreted, and or the way that we are interpreting them at that moment because of the feelings and thoughts that are surrounding the querent that we're reading and the thoughts that we're getting while reading them. Our next question is, are psychics real? Well, I like to think so. There are some people out there who have nefarious purposes for doing them, and in most cases, most of us are just out there, doing the work that we were meant to do with the gifts we have. Are psychics accurate? Again, I like to think so, but in most cases, whenever I do a reading, it also depends on the person that I'm reading. Since I do this over YouTube, if they give me an invalid picture, or their question is just so random or vague, it sometimes can be hit or miss. And there was one time when I had a querent who had a psychic block. So they can be accurate. Then again, sometimes we can make mistakes. We're human. Next, we have, how do psychics read palms? Well, I myself am not a palm reader, so I do not know the answer to this question. You would want to ask someone who actually does read palms, not me. And the next one is, how do psychics cold read? A cold reading is basically just going into a situation and reading the room, things that you see, like John Edwards or that Jersey medium. It's not something that I do, but I could if I wanted to. Our next question is, how do psychics feel energy? Well, this one's hard to explain, but I'm going to do my best to do so. So when I'm doing a reading, say this lady comes up and she gets the Strength card, and she also gets the Five of Cups, and she gets the Three of Swords. Now, strength, of course, means she needs strength. The Five of Cups, she's overlooking options that she's so distraught and disoriented to realize is there. And the Three of Swords means that she's going through a heartache. Also, I'm going to feel her energy and see, what I'm getting. If she's feeling upset, it's all in what the cards do say and what you get. Our next question is, how do psychics work? Well, the querent comes up to us. They give us money. They do whatever we ask them to do to get a reading. And then we shuffle the cards, thinking about the querent and the question that they've asked. Then we start laying the cards out one by one in whatever pattern we want to lay them out in. And from there, we get whatever feelings we get and give them their reading based on the cards and their positions. Our next question is, how do psychics stay in business? Girl, I will tell you once I figure that out. This is basically a labor of love. No one is giving me money. No one is paying my bills. The only way that I'm getting anything taken care of or paid for is all thanks to the fact that my husband has a job and works, and he's taking care of us right now since I can't seem to do so. Our next question is, how do psychics see auras? Well, I am not one of those people, so I can't really answer this question. But I do know people have auras. That's the field of energy that surrounds each and every one of us. And from what I'm told by people who can see them is that there are different colors surrounding each person. I don't know what mine is or what yours would be, but I would love to know how to do it. If you do know how, please leave a comment down below and let me know how you do it. Our next question is, how do psychics read tarot? Well, I'm going to tell you to refer back to the previous questions. I have answered that one once or twice before. Thanks. Our next question is, how do psychics bend spoons? Girl, this is not The Matrix, and I am certainly not Keanu Reeves. There are some instances where that is actually called telekinesis. That is not something I can do, nor something that I know of anyone that can do. But from what I understand, it is pretty cool and very uncommon. But as far as I know, this ain't The Matrix, girl. And the next question is, how do psychics read tarot? Again, girl, I went over that a couple times in this video and previous videos before. So just scroll back a little bit or rewind a little bit and you'll have your answer. In all seriousness, actually, the next question is, what is clairvoyance? Because you've heard me mention it several times on my channel, and if you're in my tarot group, Tarot by Tirthalion. Clairvoyance is the ability to see things. Now, it could be things that have happened, things that are happening, and things that will happen in the future. Clairvoyance is one of those psychic abilities that, again, not all people have and are really difficult to explain, like empaths, clairaudience, and things like that. People just think that we are and or sound crazy. And our next question is, what is the coronavirus? Well, girl, that is the $100,000 question, because that's pretty much changed and shaped all of our lives this year. And I'm not touching that with a 10-foot pole. Or in today's terms, I'm not touching that with a 6-foot distance pole. In all seriousness, we need to take this pandemic seriously. So maintain 6 foot of distance between you and the other person, unless it is someone that you're in a group with, and wear your mask to help protect others from getting the coronavirus from you if you are infected. And if you are not infected, you're wearing that mask for everyone else's peace of mind. The next question is, what is clairvoyance in psychology? Unfortunately, I was not a psychology major, so I'm not exactly sure. But in most cases, most psychologists would basically say that we are suffering from some sort of delusion. Now, our next question is going to take some explaining. Now, the next one is, what is clairvoyance and clairaudience? Well, clairvoyance is the ability to see things that sort of aren't there. Not as in, mental illness, but as in, focusing on it, seeing energies, signatures, things of that nature. Now, clairaudience, that is similar. The only difference is that they can't see the things, they can hear things. Like I've heard Tyler, what is his name? Anyway, the little psychic boy that does readings, he says that he can hear certain things. If you're a psychic and you're hearing things, then that is clairaudience. You have the ability to hear things that are not there. Now, our next question is, what is clairvoyance and divination? Okay, so I've already explained what clairvoyance is. Now, divination is a way of using your psychic ability, clairvoyance, clairaudient, empath. You are using those special gifts or psychic powers to divine things, to see things from the future, to see things in the past, to help someone explain why they have so much anxiety when they deal with a certain situation. That's just basically my definition for divination. Now, if you ask other people, they will have different examples and or different meanings, but they all pretty much mean the same thing. Our next question is, what is clairvoyance and how does it work? Okay, again, I've already explained what clairvoyance is. How does it work for me? That is, again, difficult to explain, but I'm going to do my best. So, say I have a clairvoyant who's come in for a reading. I'm going to ask for your name and your birth date. Then I'm going to concentrate on that information and just keep running it through my head over and over and over again while I enter a trance or meditate on it. The next thing that I see, not with my open eyes, of course, but with my third eye, is I start seeing film strips. Now, if you've watched the TV show Hollywood and you saw them editing a movie, you saw how they had those old projectors. Well, what I'm seeing is those film strips running across my area of vision. And what I'm getting is I'm seeing all of them and they're moving in every direction and it's really hard to concentrate. So what I do is I try to grab one of those film strips and I try to focus on it. Try as it's moving and as it's going and as the scene moves, I try to get certain things like time of day. Is someone wearing clothes? If they are, what do they look like? And I start feeding this information to the other person. If I've got the wrong scene, the wrong person that they're wanting me to focus on, then you need to tell me so that I can let that strip go and try to find the next strip, the movie film strip that may or may not have the person I'm looking for. But that's what I see when I do a clairvoyant reading. Well, our next question is, what is clairvoyance like? I just explained that. Actually, I explained what I experience when I do a clairvoyant reading. I cannot say that's the same for everyone that does a clairvoyant reading. Our next question is, what is clairvoyance and telepathy? Well, again, like I said before, I have defined clairvoyance. Now, telepathy, that is, the best way to put it is, that's the way, people say that they can read minds. I am not a telepathic person, nor do I know anyone that I know of is telepathic. I can't say that it's a bad thing or a good thing. I know I wouldn't like my mind being read. But it is another psychic ability that is out there and that some people can possess. It's basically the ability to read minds, thoughts, and or faces, I guess. Our next question is, what is clairvoyance and precognition? Now, I've already explained clairvoyance in a previous question, but precognition is the ability to tell the future. What either you see it, you hear it, you feel it. Clairvoyance is basically a form of precognition, just like all of the other abilities and powers that we've mentioned earlier. But yeah, precognition is just basically a larger term to say seeing the future, the past, or current events that are happening or unfolding as we speak. If you enjoyed today's video, please feel free to give me a thumbs up. Don't forget to comment down below what would your question be for a psychic if you had one. And don't forget to subscribe to my channel. I do videos on Mondays, Wednesdays, and Fridays. Thanks for watching and have a great day.